Yo, what's good everybody? Jay What If back with another video. However, this time it's gonna be a different one. I wanted to change things up, instead of the Asta's Grimoire. I think that is a wonderful series, and you should go check it out if you're watching this. Well, you know what? I'm not even gonna hold you. I know you guys looked at the thumbnail, y'all saw the title, and that's why you guys clicked on this video. So why am I gonna be sitting here and keep on rambling? Without further ado, let's get into what if Deku was a waterbender? Okay, so I think I'm actually gonna start this story off explaining some of the abilities that he's going to end up having. You all know like the basic water bending ability, being able to turn things into ice and being able to control water. However, we're going to say for this one, he can also pull the moisture out of the air, and he can also pull the moisture out of plants. He's gonna develop that later on in life, but I'm just explaining this right now. He's also going to be able to have healing, and he's going to develop that pretty early on, like before UA. He's going to have blood bending as well later on. I'll let you guys see where it's going to come in at, but I already have a plan for that. He's also going to have a major connection with like spirits and like the spirits of the world. If you guys know what I'm talking about, like if you guys have seen Avatar, you guys know how like certain people can connect with spirits better. Another one would be plant bending, where he can actually bend plants, and that's also going to come into effect later on. But he's also going to be able to control clouds and like steam and fog and all of the basic things. But the one that I think is actually pretty interesting, and I feel like it's going to be pretty cool, he's actually going to be able to like control the temperature of water itself. So he can either make it scalding hot, or he can make it like freezing cold, but just to the point where it's like about to freeze, and if it hits a target, it freezes, but it looks like regular water. So I think that that'll be a pretty cool ability. Next, I'm actually going to talk about his appearance later on in life. You guys have seen the thumbnail. It's a light blue trench coat, or not trench coat, but you guys know what I'm talking about. He just has like light blue leggings and pants, kind of like a basic like water like tribe like outfit. But he also has a like light blue scarf. I mean a white scarf. And if you guys didn't notice this, on the little like buttons on the scarf, it's actually two water insignia tribe logos. He's also gonna be fairly pale, and then he's gonna have two ice gauntlets. He's gonna be like semi-muscular. He's gonna be like after the 10 months of training arc Deku in the in the original. His hair is black, but it has like white tips on it. He has blue eyes, obviously, and then he's going to be extremely extroverted, which is going to lead into a few things later on. So, I guess without me keep on rambling for another 3 minutes, how about we just go ahead and get into it without that? So, our story fully starts off with a young boy who's just seemingly floating down a river. How did a young boy just start floating down a river, especially with ice caps all around him? And we have a little bit of a flashback to two parents, one with black hair, one with white hair. The mother had white, the dad had black, and we find out that they both were able to bend water, and they were bending the water around their little canoe in order to get to the North Pole, or the Northern Water Tribe. No one knows that the Water Tribe still exists. Everybody thinks that they're still extinct. However, they have a few like key people in some places. So, but all of a sudden, the water flips currents, and their boat gets tipped. But in a final breath, they use their water bending, and they conjure up the ability for Izuku to go down the river even faster, and he ends up making it there. And we find out that Izuku at this point is he's about, I'm gonna say like 1 year old exactly, like so that way you know that he would at least be able to survive a trip like this, but not young enough to the point, like not too old to the point where he knew what was going on, but not young enough to where he wouldn't be able to survive. So he ends up making it to the Northern Water Tribe, and he's immediately welcomed because they placed the white scarf. It was less in tatters. It was a full scarf, but had two Water Tribe insignia logos on it, and they immediately took him in as kind of not royalty, but not as like any less, kind of like they treated him well. And what they did is they trained him he knew water bending a little bit, and they trained him in order to know ice and in order to be able to protect himself. And they also taught him how to like do healing bending, and he was actually kind of a natural at all of it. And they moved on to like teaching him how to control like clouds and all that stuff. And he it took him a little bit of time, but he picked up on it fairly simply. And they taught him how to turn water into ice and to control the temperature of the water, which he picked up super fast. Like, it was insane. And we'll say every week, they gave him a task to where, like, this is whenever he was like aged, like he's like 6 years old at this point. And they tell him, okay, we want you to go prove yourself, so we're sending you out into the Arctic. So they send him out into the Arctic for, we're gonna say 2 weeks, and he has to, and if he's not back, then they're gonna go searching for him. And he says, okay, and he puts on his clothes, and he goes out wearing his white scarf with the water insignia, just in case he runs into people who are trying to find their way, so they don't just attack him. And like to the water tribe, so they know that he's a part of it, and that he can help them. So on this trip, he actually meditates quite a bit, and he finds a little cave. He sets up a camp. He starts a fire using like a stick and rubbing it and creating the friction circular method. I think that's not the actual name for it, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So actually what he does is he starts like a little bit of training, like doing a little bit of push-ups, sit-ups, squats, like just jumping up and down, very basic stuff, like enough to get him like a little bit of muscle, like where you could see a little bit of it, but not enough to the point where he was like overly like doing it. And so while he was meditating one day, a spirit actually came up to him and said, "Young boy, what are you doing out in this freezing wind?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm actually part of the water tribe, and they just wanted me to be able to, they just wanted to know that I could, survive out here. It's been I only have about a week left, and I'm honestly I feel like I'm doing pretty well." And it's like a regular spirit, and she like pushes like his hair behind his ear, and he's like, and she's like, "Very good, young child. How about I aid you a little bit?" And he's like, "Okay." And they just begin talking, and she actually becomes like a little bit of a mentor to him. And she teaches him the basics of like talking with spirits and how to connect with other ones. And she actually like implants the rest of like water bending. Like now he's like almost like a master level, because we're gonna say like she was like pretty good at water bending in her time. And she like fully cemented healing into his brain and how to like fully control like temperature, like boiling, like from the boiling point all the way down to like near freezing. And he's like, "Whoa, that's so cool." And he like showed her that like about cloud bending, which she didn't know existed. And she was like, "Yo, how did you learn this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's something that the people at the water tribe taught me." And she was like, "Very good, and you pick stuff up very fast." And she becomes like, she just starts teaching him, and he actually gets really smart from this. Like he's like calling on other spirits, and they're giving him their knowledge. Like he doesn't know blood bending existed, because he's just a child. Like these people are not going to subject him to that, just like they're not going to teach him how to drag it out of a plant or drag it out of the air, because it's not a good technique to know. Like it's not like morally good. If you guys have seen the show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And one of the spirits, like a fairly newer one, actually starts talking about heroes, and he's like, "Wait, what's a hero?" And all of the spirits go silent, and the one spirit is like, "Young man, you don't know what a hero is?" And he's like, "I mean, it's somebody who saves people, right?" And he's just like, "Very good, but I think you need a little bit more lessons from specifically me, because I'm pretty sure they don't know everything." And everybody's like, "Yeah, you're right." And Izuku's like, "Okay." So he actually teaches him about Japan and the hero organization and UA. And he's like, "Whoa, I want to go there. I want to be a hero." And so his time at the week is up, and he runs back to the tribe, and he goes up, and he's like, "I survived. I'm perfectly fine. I actually learned quite a bit too." And he's showing it off to the like water tribe leader, who is very impressed at this point. And he says, "Very good." And the water tribe leader is just talking to him, and Izuku's like, "Oh yeah, while I was out there, and he started talking about the spirits, and he's like, what? You can connect with spirits? And Izuku's like, yeah, they're actually really nice. And the water tribe owner is like, the water tribe like leader is shocked. And Izuku's like, so anyways, one of them were talking to me about like heroes in Japan and how they were organized and how they helped people. And I really want to go to Japan and learn and go to UA. And the water tribe leader is shocked that he even knew about UA. Like he didn't like, and he said, okay, young man, how about this? I'll make a deal with you. Whenever you turn 10 years old, I will set up some of my connections that I have in Japan, and I will let you go and live there. And I will let you learn as much as you want there. And he was like, but you have to promise me one thing. You will not subside to evil ways of the outside world. And Izuku says, yes, sir. And the water tribe leader pats him on the head and like ruffles his hair and stuff. And after this, we just have like a time skip of like a montage of Izuku doing basic training, and now he's 10 years old, and he moves to Japan. He says his goodbyes at the water tribe, and they all loved him there, so it was a little bit saddening whenever he had to go. But anyways, he ends up going to Japan, and everybody loves him there, and he's just so happy. He's smiley, he's very jolly, and it's like one of those kids where you can't help but look at him and smile. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience, but I personally have, like, looking at, like, my nephews and just seeing how they're just, like, they always look so happy whenever they're talking to me, and, like, my little brother, how he's, like, 4 years old, and it's just amazing to me. And, so their connections, we're going to say they're actually pretty wealthy, because it's, like, they made their bank as heroes, and, like, they're well off, we're going to say. But they just say that they have, like, really good water quirk. And Deku is quirkless, but he just knows how to water bend. So, actually, I feel like it would be kind of cool to say that he, like, has a mixture of levitation and water. But we're just going to say he's water bending. And he's just going to tell people that he's just, like, a mixture of a levitation and water quirk. And, so these foster parents who are originally from the northern water tribe, are, like, Izuku's from the southern water tribe. However, he journeyed up to the northern water tribe, which is where he learned everything. Because the southern water tribe got wiped out, and his parents sent him up to the, you guys heard the backstory, so I guess I shouldn't go too much into detail. But, so he actually goes to a private school where he meets Tenya Ida, Shoto Todoroki, and Momo Yaoyorozu. And these three people are just, like, amazing to him. They're all just best friends. Like, they hang out every single day. And this is going for, like, a year where he's learning a lot of more stuff, like, about heroes, and he's enjoying it all, and he, like, makes up his mind. He's like, oh, I'm gonna take that #1 spot for myself. He just admires all of the heroes. I'm going to say his favorite hero is actually going to be... I'm going to say his favorite hero is going to be... I want to say actually Endeavor because of Todoroki. No. We're going to say it's All Might, but he really likes Aizawa as well, of course, because you can't have one of these what ifs and not say he likes Aizawa. Like, he's just tough. Like, come on now. We all know Aizawa's tough. Anyways, whenever he turns about 11 years old, his parents start urging him to go to banquets with Todoroki, Iida, and Momo. And this is actually where he meets Todoroki's older sister, who's a grade older, and they just start talking. And because Izuku, he's, like, childish, but he's mature for his age. He acts like a 13-year-old, even if he's, like, 11. And Fuyumi will say that she's 12, about to turn 13. So she's in her, if he's 10 years old, so she's in 6th grade. If we're going by the American schooling system, of course. But anyways, so, and, like, at these banquets, like, they just start talking, and, like, they have a few per year, and they actually become, like, really close friends, like, closer than Iida, Todoroki, and Momo were to Izuku. And, like, Todoroki saw this and was like, hey, you actually are, like, best friends with my sister. And he says it in, like, a kind of cold tone, because it's like, he still hasn't broken out of his shell. Yet. and he's like, yeah, no, she's really cool. And Todoroki's like, hey, do your thing, man. She really likes talking to you. She comes home like raving about you every single after the banquet. She always comes home talking about you to mother. And it's like, we're gonna say that he still has a scar, but not Fuyumi, his mom isn't the one that did it. We're gonna say that it was like a complete accident, and like we're just gonna say that, and we're gonna say Endeavor wasn't abusive to the mom, only to Todoroki, which is a whole bag. And yeah, which after this we see actually like, so Fuyumi every single night sneaks out of the house and goes and meets up with Izuku at his house, and they just chill in the living room and they just talk. And Fuyumi actually like rants about like all of these like horrible things that Todoroki is going through, and like why he's so cold to Izuku, and he listens and he doesn't judge. But anyways, after a few months of doing this, Fuyumi actually starts gaining feelings for Izuku, and Izuku doesn't like know about this, but he obviously like he's not leading her on. Like, he has feelings, but he's not gonna like go out of his way for it. And so anyways, like over the course of like until he's 11 to the point where he's 12, like he completely brings Todoroki out of his shell, like making him super extroverted, like not cold. And he actually ends up telling Todoroki like, it's your quirk, it's not Endeavor's, it's not your dad's, it's not Toya's, it's no one's, it's your quirk. And this somehow just puts a massive flashbang in Todoroki's brain, and it's like, I didn't think of it that way. Like, you would really think, like, somebody would think like that, but like, nah, I mean, I guess I just didn't. But anyways, so he comes out of his shell, and he doesn't like Endeavor. Like, he never will. Or not never will, but he doesn't like Endeavor, and he's still kind of like somewhat abused by him, but he just knows that Izuku makes everything okay, so he's happy there, and he knows that he's perfectly fine with anything as long as he has his best friend by his side. And we're gonna say Todoroki and Deku, they're like tight, and him and Ida are like, they're all like a group of friends, but like, you know how you have like a group of 3 or like 4, and you have like that one homie that's just like always there, and you're always there, and you guys always have the crisp daps, like, yeah, that's that. And so anyways, one day whenever they're like all 12 years old, what happens is Todoroki, Deku, and Momo all convince Ida to come train, quote unquote, with them. But instead of training, what they do is they drag Ida to an arcade where they spend like an entire day with him, and he's actually like, he's really happy, and he realizes that. And this happens like once or twice every week, where they just go and have fun. They go and get ice cream and do all of these things and cause havoc like normal kids do. But Deku's always the one that gets them out of trouble. And so it actually kind of makes Ida mellow out, where he's not like, he doesn't have a stake in his butt. Like, he doesn't really care anymore. Like, he's just a chill guy. But anyways, they all train together, of course, but with the occasional fun and causing havoc. And this actually leads Todoroki, Momo, and Ida to all clean Dagobah Beach whenever they're about 13, 14. And then they clean out the entire beach because their parents were like, man, that beach, Deku overheard his like foster parents talking about the beach and how they wish that somebody would clean it up. And he actually goes to Todoroki, Momo, and Ida and asks for help with it. And they say, of course, we would help you with anything. And they go and help him, and they section it off. Like, Deku gets one section, Momo gets one section, Todoroki gets one section, and Ida gets one section. And Ida trains with his speed, like he carries the things on his back and he runs with his engine, and that's how he does it. Todoroki, what he does is he uses the trash and melts them with his fire, and then freezes them in place with his ice. And Momo, what she does is she uses it and she learns all of the chemical compounds of all of these different things, and she actually is able to do way more than she was in canon. I'm gonna say this now. And so what they do is at 15 the beach is completely clear, and so what they do is they're at 15 now, and they're just hanging out one day, and they're like, oh yeah, we have the recommendation exams. And Ida's like, yeah, thanks to y'all. I mean, my parents were gonna put me into the regular, but after seeing how much I've been training, they actually put me into the recommendation exam. Because if you all know, Ida's part of like a wealthy family, like the Ida family, and Momo's obviously wealthy, so she's gonna take it. Todoroki obviously takes it, and Deku, I'm just gonna have him take it because, you know, why not? Because might as well change it up from a lot of other people who just do the regular entrance exam. So the four of them, they go and they take the entrance exam, and they actually meet this like interesting guy who's fairly loud, but he's also trying to get to UA. And he meets Todoroki, and I feel like you guys can understand what this means, because his favorite hero is Endeavor, and he meets Todoroki, and after the whole thing with Endeavor, he meets Todoroki, who is just like this happy thing, and he's just like, oh, like, Endeavor's not that bad. Like, if he can produce something that is this good and this like bright and happy, like, he can't be that bad. Maybe he was just having a bad day. And it's revealed that this boy is his name is Inasa. You guys should have guessed this by now. But so they all, like, Inasa walks over and is like, hey, you're Endeavor's son, right? And Todoroki's like, yeah, sadly I am, but I am. And he's like, oh, why sadly? And Todoroki's just like, man, just different things. My dad's just a piece of work, to be honest. And Inasa's like, yeah, I figured as much. I mean, I guess having a pro hero as a parent is not the greatest. And they all just like start nodding their heads. And so they actually form like a little bit of a bond with Inasa. And so and then the entrance exam starts with a little bit of a race. We're going to say that they have a race, and then they have a physical portion, kind of like the quirk apprehension test, except 3 things: a physical, a mental, and a race to see who's the fastest. Like, to think who could think on their feet the fastest. And I'm actually going to say that Inasa gets first, Ida gets second, Deku gets third, Todoroki gets fourth, and Momo gets fifth. The reason why I'm putting it in that order, because I feel like Izuku would be on some op stuff, and the second Todoroki makes his ice, he's just gonna take it all, snag that water, and just use it to propel himself. And he's just gonna do that until Todoroki basically just has to run to the finish line, and he just gets there faster. And then Inasa, we all know he would have won if Todoroki didn't use his ice. So, and then Ida is extremely fast, so that makes sense. And then I think I said Deku, Todoroki, Momo. Momo's just Momo. I mean, yeah. And they all pass, and they actually have like a week or two to like know if they made it in, and they're all just hanging out. Like, and Inasa actually joins them, and they go to the arcade and they just hang out like what normal teenagers would do, right? And they're hanging out, and Deku gets a call from his parents. Todoroki gets a call from his parents. Momo gets a call from her, and they all get a call at their parents simultaneously, and they're like, "Oh no, what did we do?" And they all go home, and all of their parents are like meeting up together, like all of them. Even Inasa's parents are there, and they're all just like, "Oh crap, what did we do? Are we getting in trouble for Dagobah?" And Inasa's like, "Wait, what? I wasn't even there. How would you guys get in trouble for that right now?" And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And they all just see their parents holding up letters, and they hand it to them, and not Endeavor, but all of them just hug him. And like, what I feel like what would be kind of interesting is, like Deku, whenever he gets hugged, like Todoroki joins the hug, like his foster mom hugs him, and Todoroki both at the same time. Ida gets hugged by his older brother. Momo's mom and dad hug him. Endeavor's just standing there like, yeah, I told you could pass it. Like, basically just standing there being a POS. Like, basically all the parents hug him. And they say that they made it in and blah, blah, blah. And then a week goes by, and they have their first day of UA. And they're all walking in together, because Inasa decides to go to UA in this version. Like, he's not going to let Todoroki stop him from that. So, he's not going to let Endeavor stop him from that, I should say, rather. So, anyways, they all go to UA, and they're all just hanging out. And I'm going to say 3 people actually walk over. It's Mina, Uraraka, and Kaminari. And Uraraka, she gets saved by some random hero in this one, we're going to say. Like, she didn't get saved by anyone specific. But they all 3 of them just walk over, and they form a bond with them, like, click, like, very fast. Like, and all of them are just talking, and they're just hanging out, and I was always just like, everybody quiet down and sit down, and then and nobody hears him, and he like pulls on his scarf and raises, and his eyes go red and his eyes float, and it's like, sit down, I don't get paid enough to deal with this. Like, I just wanted to sleep, and I'm having to train you problem children. And they all sit down so fast. So and I was like, good, you guys finally quieted down. Anyways, get these on. And he puts like a stack of like gym uniforms on the desk. Put these on, meet me outside. And they all go outside. There's a Kirishima scene, of course, where it's just like, dude, you're ripped. Like, how'd you like, what's your training? And Deku's just like, oh, I just do the regular stuff, like push-ups, sit-ups, squats, running, you know, like my stamina's like off the charts, dude. And everybody's like, oh, that's pretty cool, except for obviously his friends, like Izuku, Todoroki, Ida, whatever. You guys know what I'm trying to say. So they all go outside, and it's like a physical portion, and Izuku's like, ah, crap. So it's the ball throw. It gets thrown at Bakugo. And you guys are probably thinking, wait, wouldn't there be a scene with Ida yelling at Bakugo? And I'm actually going to say, Ida is like super chill out. Like, he's mellow in this one. Like, he's just there, you know? And he's not like, chop, 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 chop. And because of Izuku. And he changed a lot of it. Like, he also made Momo like super confident. Like, not cocky, but like confident in everything that she does. And like, so we never have like a scene where Momo doubts herself. Which actually comes into play later. And Inasa, he's like not quiet, but he's not screaming or banging his head against the floor. And yeah. So just like he causes an impact on people, like in a good way. And so they take the quirk apprehension test, and I see like Bakugo, he gets like 702 in the original, because and then everybody's just like, whoa, that's pretty cool, an explosion quirk. And he's just like, yeah, that's right, everybody praise me. Like being on some weird stuff, you know. And so anyways, all of the things go out, everybody gets their regular scores in canon. However, I'm just only going to cover Izuku. So what he does is he actually uses his water quirk to create, you guys know one of those cricket things, not cricket, it's like one of the little swerve things that carries the ball. I'm a swerve and I gotta roll. But anyways, so he puts one of those and he just sends it as hard as he can. And I'm gonna say he gets a good like 500 meters on the dot from this. And everybody's like, whoa, from brute strength? And he's like, yeah, well, if you use this and you use enough leverage and don't fight really against gravity and you swoop it the exact right way, it'll go flying. And everybody's like, whoa, that's actually pretty cool. And a good use of your quirk for it not being like made for this. And so anyways, that's really all I wanted to cover. And then like he would clear the box jump because he would just like fly over it with his ice. Like kind of like the nanobots in Big Hero 6. How he would like step on them, and I was just like, I guess it counts because you're not technically stepping on it. And he's like, if you want me to redo it, he can. And all he does is he just creates an ice bridge over it. And I was just like, okay, whatever, you cleared it. And Deku's like, oh yeah, Vector. And anyways, so actually the score is going to be Momo gets first, like always. Todoroki gets second. Bakugo's third. Ida gets fourth, Inasa gets fifth, and then Deku gets sixth, which is perfectly fine. Like, he's fine with that. Like, for his quirk not being built for this, he's actually very, like, happy about it. And, so Deku's just like, okay, bet. So, and then we find out who's in last place. And there was a scene, because, like, everybody was like, oh, this is gonna be so fun. Even Izuku said that. And I was just like, oh, you guys think it's gonna be fun? Last place gets expelled, and this time he means it. So Mineta is gone. He is out of there. And so they all go back up to the class, and they are all just hanging out, and they're all hanging out, talking, doing schoolwork basically, and it rolls around to lunchtime. And it's the group of friends that Izuku has in this one is Todoroki, Uraraka, Ida, Mina, Momo, Kaminari, and Inasa. And then Deku, of course. So the reason why I did all of these Kaminari is because the lightning, imagine the chain combo with that, big brain time. So Anyways, that's why I chose Kaminari. And, Mina is just Mina. She's going to be hanging out with Uraraka, we'll say. But it's like friend of my friend, I guess. And anyways, so now we get All Might bursting through the door like a normal person. And everybody's like, whoa, All Might, that was so cool. It wasn't normal, but it was so cool. And All Might's just like, dang it. And he's just like, anyways, I feel like I should explain what I'm doing here. I'm going to be your new hero course teacher. And with that being said, I'm going to explain to you what my first task for y'all is. And don't worry, I'm not Aizawa. I'm not going to expel any of y'all. And Aizawa's just like, just let me sleep. And he just goes back to sleep in his yellow sleeping bag. And Aizawa's just like, okay, what we're going to be doing is you guys are all going to meet me at Training Ground Alpha, Betas. Okay, you are all going to meet me at Training Ground Alpha. And everybody's like, okay. And they're about to stand up and walk out. And he's like, wait. As I always like to say, the clothes make the pros. So he presses a button and the clothes pop out. And everybody's like, oh, that's so cool. So everybody gets their regular hero suit, as in canon. However, Deku, he gets the one that's in the thumbnail. So what I was explaining earlier, that's what he gets in this one. And everybody's just shocked because it like perfectly portrays him as like what his quirk is. So, and what happens with this is, what do I want to do? So, okay, the teams are going to be Bakugo and Ida as the villains. Actually, no, as the heroes versus Kaminari and Deku. So, as the villains, and so their major thing is just trying to get basically their plan is that Deku is going to cover the entire floor in water, and Kaminari is going to zap that stuff with at maximum voltage, like enough to knock someone out, not to kill. Because if you guys think about it, Kaminari can be one of the most broken people in the show. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. But regardless, well, I just wanted to say that. And Ida knows that Deku was going to try and do this. So he sends Bakugo in there, and Bakugo gets knocked out. And Ida's just like, oh, you poor soul. And Ida, because he's so fast, like he just runs across and he doesn't get harmed by the lightning. Until he hits the door. Kaminari was zapping it with maximum voltage, and it's a metal handle. And Ida is wearing a metal suit of armor. So, Ida is just like, and they're both knocked out, and All Might's like, hero team wins! And they all go back up to do the hero analysis, or the villain analysis in this case. And and Momo's just like, I think that they both did, all four performed fairly well. Even Bakugo, I mean, he did come up with a solid strategy of using his explosion quirk to explode up and see where the bomb was, which is what he did. Before they walked inside, he flew up and saw where the bomb was, but in order to not create a scene or to accidentally blow up the bomb, because I'm actually going to make him actually fairly level-headed. Like, he's going to be calm. He's not going to be too calm, but he's not going to be angry Pomeranian. So it's kind of like how we made Ida more laid back. We're also making Bakugo more laid back because he didn't have Izuku. Like, he's not going to be some self-righteous because he didn't have anybody to put down. He was just there, Like, he had people to put down, of course, but it's like at the same time, it's like his major driving force was to be 20 steps ahead of Izuku, in my opinion. And so I feel like that would be kind of sick, actually. And so after this fight, they're all going up, and they're like, everybody performed well, even Ida, using his speed to climb up the stairs so fast that the water, which was charged with electricity, didn't affect him. And everybody's just like, well, in that case, wouldn't we say Ida is the MVP? And Momo's just like, while that might be possible, however, Kaminari did provide the voltage in order to take them out, and we don't know where the fight would have gone without that. With that being, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, you're right, so Kaminari's MVP? And Momo's just like, not quite. If you all want to know the true MVP, it would be Izuku. because of the pure fact of the matter that he was the one that came up with the plan and provided Kaminari with the means to be able to use his electricity to maximum potential. And I would say that is what makes a good hero, is being able to think on the tip of your toes and be able to come up with an excellent strategy from the get without too much to be able to use. And everyone's like, that makes sense. And even All Might's like, I could have said it better myself. And everybody's just like, way to go. And they all clap for everybody. And Bakugo's just like, damn, I wish I could have won. And then he actually goes and shakes Izuku's hand. He's like, hey, good game, man. Like, we chillin'. Like, no hostility. And then Bakugo squeezes Izuku's hands too hard. And, like, he starts moving around his pinky knuckle. But I hate that so much. So anyways, I feel like all of the other battles would go as canon, except for one, and that would be, instead of Mineta and Momo, it would be Momo and Inasa, and then Todoroki would still do the whole freeze floor thing. But Inasa, what he would do is, he would actually, there would be heroes, and he would fly up seeing where the bomb was, and what Momo would do is, she would create a, I don't remember who they went up against, but we're gonna say that what she did is she created a bunch of metal rebar, and in a scene kind of like One Piece with the Bari Bari Nami, if you guys know what I'm talking about, she uses the metal and she hammers it up to get to the top floor where the bomb was, and both of them break in through the window at the same time, and Momo uses her metal staff and knocks both of them out, and Inasa uses his wind quirk to keep them pressured against the wall, so that way they couldn't like keep moving. And Momo and Inasa both touched the bomb at the same exact time. Well, and then after that, they all go back up to the classroom, and there it is, guys. There's part 1 to What If Deku Was a Waterbender. Thank you all so much for watching. I just thought that I might as well give you all a different option just for now. Expect part 2 fairly soon, and if you guys are here because you're waiting for part 4 of Asta's Grimoire, then I guess you're just gonna have to wait. No, I'm kidding. It'll be out soon too. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Please remember, like and subscribe.